to add a fifth, if I may. And if you don't mind, we'll make the fifth one 7A. We're going to have a quick discussion on the 16th Line Bridge. Director.
Thanks. I just wanted to give everybody an update. You all know about the 16th Line Bridge washing out. Half the road's gone now. We just changed the direction of the slope, so there was no more washout, and met with the conservation authorities out there, Saugeen and Gamsey and Mano. So we hired a contractor. We got 3 prices. Hired a contractor in, sloped it back, put some erosion material down, and it should be stable until it's done. But the road will be permanently closed until that time.
Any questions? Councillor Faulkner.
When do they anticipate starting?
In July.
July?
Yeah. The DFO, Department of Fisheries and Oceans, won't allow us to go in until that time period. So we're still fighting, trying to get in earlier, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
Pike habitat.
Other questions? Hearing none, thank you for that report. I'd like to welcome our Water and Sewers Foreman, Mr. Wayne Metzger, to the front. You don't come very often, and I'd like to welcome you. So the first item then, or the second item, is to do with the basement flooding prevention, and this is a pretty long report, and I'm hoping that everybody's taken the time to read this, because this is pretty important, a very important item. So I think these two gentlemen are going to make a few comments on it and then take some questions.
Sure. During the weekend of April 11th through the 13th, during some heavy rainfall, we had alarms at the Yonge Street and William Street lift stations. The William Street lift station, just so we can, people that don't know, is where the raw sewage gets pumped into the lagoon, and if those pumps cannot keep up to those flows, it will cause backups in the basements and cause manholes to overflow. So I'll let Wayne go. He was there that night, and I'll let him comment on a few of the items that happened during that time period.
Turn the mic over to him. Got to get him on tape there.
All right, just basically give you an outlay that happened. We got that rainfall that came heavy at 9:30. By 1:45, we had our first alarms, so I responded with Todd. By 2 o'clock in the morning, we realized that there was absolutely no way that we could keep up. The lift station is already compromised. By 3:30, we were bypassing. We had to do a steady bypass with a 6-inch additional pump with 3 pumps running in the lift station till 8 in the morning. At this point, we were able to maintain a level that the lift station would handle, but it never did, take it down just a little at a time. Now, during all this, it's through the middle of the night where the demands of the town are at a minimum. Farm fresh wasn't killing. You got all those high users not using water. So it's the I&I that was a direct major effect on that event that night. And without the bypassing, we would have had sewer in basements and that. So the response of our group to prevent that, I thank them all for working through the night. I know I had an hour's sleep, and we worked 9 hours to get this, but that's what it took to make this happen. So going forward, we'd like to get a letter out to the people, let them know, get their sub pumps, E-troughs out of our system. We found that night that we had our own I&I problems, because there was water all over the town. Like, I checked lots of manholes, and the flows are something I've never seen before for that time of, especially that time of day. So if we can start educating and getting people out, we had a program a few years ago, about 5 years ago, where we did a door-to-door. Now, I feel that some of them have re-hooked back in to get these type of flows. So we'd like to, start that program again with your permission. I guess at this point, we really don't have a value to, as far as if you had to get into fining or anything. Just based on the bylaw, there's up to $5,000 that could be that somebody was non-compliant with the bylaw that we have. But whether you just want to come in this letter have a value or anything, But our biggest thing that we want to do is to educate the people and get people, you know, with those cross connections into the sewers out to help us alleviate the problem that we had that night, or we could have it any time, any major rainfall.
I just want to add to a little bit of that. I sat down with Gord and Terry, our CBO, and we came up with just trying to give you, because you're not on site and you don't see exactly what's happening out there, to give you an idea of how much flow goes into that system. The water that we have to treat is unbelievable. So what we did was we took a 2,000 square foot roof and say 1 inch of rainfall would cost to treat, would cost $5.17 per house. The average rainfall per year in Minto is 36.1 inches, which works out to $186.64 per year for each of those households. Basically, if you times that number by 800, and we're being reasonable on that amount, 800 homes, that's a lot of money going for treatment, and that doesn't include the guy's labor, time, anything. That's just a treatment of that water. So during this fall, rainfall, the lift station, the maximum flows in that lift station were 8,640 cubic meters per day. That night, it was registered at 10,490. And that's at the low peak hours. So if that was during the day, we'd be probably double that amount. We had a 6-inch whacker pump sitting there, and then another one standing by, and it was still rising. So we're just trying to give you a good idea of the amount of flow that was going through that lift station.
Wayne, when you talk about bypassing, can you elaborate?
Well, bypassing is when we have to take raw sewage and basically put it right into the river. And we do try to chlorinate, but you know, you can only chlorinate so much because you still got ministry issues of chlorinated water reaching into the receiving stream with the fisheries and all that. So basically you're taking raw sewage, putting it to the river, and just so that we don't have backup in the town. So it's one or the other. If we didn't do that, you get backup. This way you're able to prevent it by bypassing the lift station at this point.
And that gets reported.
That's right. We had to do sampling. We had to send that in to be tested, and then those reports come back. And so you immediate when you do it's a spills action. So you got to phone spills. You got to go through all that reporting and all that. They want to know the length of time you bypassed, how much you bypassed, and all that gets kept on file, and you go from there. And you don't want too many of those events because that all comes back against you know, the way you operate your system. So.
How many have we had? Any idea?
Well, the last one was in 2008, right? When we had 2 that year. We had one right around Christmas,
yep.
And then we had one earlier in that year in April. But besides that, we haven't had too many. Now, when we had that flooding, you know, we were gearing up for the flooding, and we never did get to the levels of flooding that we were in 2008, and we still had this happen to us. So, you know, we never got manholes covered with water like we did in 2008. So those are all issues. So we're working on trying right now with some of the budget that we have to get some of our stuff cleaned up where we found infiltration into the manholes. We're working on, you know, dealing with our own, but we still want to work with the residents and that to assist in, you know, and also savings as far as not treating that rainwater and that does enter the system.
The main impact on this one was guaranteed drop for some months more. That's where because it just gets hard.
Any idea how much rain came down in those 3.5 hours?
What I did that written down. We had 10.
30, we were worrying at 22 million, there's
That's
30,
right.
over 30 some
millimeters.
37 millimeters, which is more than what they anticipated, because we had.
That's right. But as you can see, from 9:30, you know, your basic, from 9:30 till
Yeah.
quarter to 1, that impact hit that lift station and compromised it. In that short of time, headed up to alarm levels with 3 pumps running. So,
Questions? Councillor Caldwell?
Yeah, can you visibly see if, people have gone into our system through their e-shops or something? Can you tell us?
If they're going into the ground, sometimes it's hard, because sometimes they go into the ground and be direct onto the surface somewhere. But usually when they are going down into the ground, they're going into the legal out of the front of the house. And if, they're connected to sanitary, that's a lot of water. That doesn't mean to.
And they are connected to the sanitary, why? What is the advantage to them being connected?
Don't want them to.
yeah. You're not pumping it out on the lawns, you're not putting it onto the neighbor's property, it's gone and you don't worry about
Nobody
it.
can
So,
see it.
whether it be pumped into, like, from the sub pump right back into the sanitary, it's gone, and the issue's no longer, you know.
But they're not educated, like, some are, some aren't. They don't understand the process. Why that water is not flowing. But sending over the pamphlet, and explain it, we have to search them.
Deputy Mayor Fisk?
Yeah, through you, Chairman Turton, a couple of things. First of all, you mentioned that you felt that most of this was some pumps, and how would you be able to estimate that? Like, we're talking about I&I as well, and do we have the I&I problem here that we had in Palmerston?
Most certainly, yes.
As bad?
From what we seen that night going out, like going to, when I seen opening up multiple manholes, you see I&I coming in the walls, down the bases, you know, so we have problems that we have to fix too. You know, whether they got roof leaders too, but, you know, there's definitely issues with some of the manholes, some of the, at the top where the risers are, just under, on the chimney part. There's water getting in around those areas. Those are areas that we want to get at first and try to stop our problem as best we can. But when something hits that quick, you know, it's not hard to tell that it's got a direct route to it. I could give you one more example, I guess, of Yonge Street, which is a lift station that we monitor by SCADA. In the peak of this, it would run 15 minutes, shut off for 3, back on for 15 minutes. That pump would run, and all that's hitting, and that's the lift station down by the arena. Where normally that might run 3 minutes, come on in 20. So just to give you an idea how much flow is coming in from, say, the east side of Elora coming to that lift station. So that's why I'm saying the I&I was all over town. It wasn't just, I couldn't pick an area that night because I tried to, and it was just coming everywhere, so.
I wasn't there to see the flows coming into the manholes when Wayne bought it, because I went home earlier that day. Wayne was bought the manhole, and that's a lot of water.
Yeah, I talked to you that morning.
So would it be 50/50, or as far as,
It's hard to say,
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
and then the other thing is, there's mention made here about when we're installing water meters, that perhaps that's a time to be looking. Can we legally do that? Be snooping around their basement to see if it looks like there's,
Well, no, you're in the basement anyway, so
Yeah.
if you see something unusual, or even on the outside of it, you know, a little investigation work might help them out.
well, I think, you know, I think pointing out how much this is costing is a good start right there. I mean, this is the first I knew that it cost this kind of money for that type of a problem, and I think most of our ratepayers would change that system if they knew what the cost is, and so I think
If
dollars
we
and
educate
cents,
them,
yeah.
And that helps, like, we're doing our part the best we can on public property, but on private property,
Yeah.
get that. And I know that board here is got the number for how much the treatment did cost. We'll just put that number and work with it.
Yeah, well, and not only that too, talking about treating that water, we talk about water bans and that. People need to realize that, we do have a lot of water, but we're treating that water. It costs a lot of money to treat that water for you to put that on your lawn or to put that on your car too. So, like you said, I think they need to be educated on what kind of money it actually costs us to treat our water, not only the sewer, but as well as our drinking.
For the rain barrel.
And your pumps, like you gotta take into consideration how much more your pumps work, and they get worn out quicker. And they're not cheap. those
Yeah.
pumps. So it just snowballs after that.
Councillor Faulkner.
Through you, Councillor Turcotte, when you bypass the sanitary sewer or the storm sewer?
Sanitary.
The
Because there
sanitary.
should be no physical link between the two.
No.
And that's
why I
what
was
happens with
questioning.
these cross connections and,
Oh,
you're taking it
okay.
and you're dumping it in, where it should be going to storm,
Right.
it's going to sanitary, which has to be treated.
Right, so the eave troughs and the sump pumps and so
Roof
on.
leaders.
Yep, are they going into the sanitary and could they go
Storm.
into the storm?
That's what it's supposed to
That's what it should be.
Well, your sump pumps should be discharged on the surface of the ground, associated with each other.
So that would go directly
That's
into the
correct.
ground and then over to your storm
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, because there's people that had
Or
to do
get in.
something or their basements were flooded all the time.
Well, if the lot grading was proper on their lots, then we wouldn't have that problem.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's not supposed to be.
And I think
No,
that's the
not in
problem.
all cases,
People
no.
can't decipher sewer.
Yeah.
and
I don't think they
can't.
can.
Sewer and storm.
There's two different systems,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We just can't, but if you educate, that's what I'm trying to.
Yeah,
express
exactly.
it. If we give them something to go by and educate them, that would might help the situation. Because the impact is so quick and so heavy and huge. Like within 4 hours to have a system go like that, big time.
Good.
Councillor Elliott.
Been around council for a lot of years, and even back in '88, I think we were talking about people hooking up in Palmerston and how we were gonna go about stopping them, and we've done door-to-door. Wayne, I'm sure several times that you've been involved, even with the town of Minto, we've tried that, and people do disconnect and then reconnect as soon as you shut the door on the way out the door again.
Yep.
I'm wondering if we should have, that was the nice way, to let them know what, we communicated with them. I'm sure if you talk to many people, they've been communicated with. I don't think a lot of people care, so maybe we need more of an incentive program, whether it be a negative or a positive. I'm not sure which route to go, but we gotta find some way of, we can stop it for a week, and maybe get half of them to stay that way, but eventually it goes back to, in my experience, we've had, Wayne's been involved a lot of times with me when we're sitting there explaining the same situation, and Ryan, you being new to us, you're here now, and I've seen it over and over again, and I'm
Well,
not
good
sure what we
example
do.
is Palmerston, right? We didn't do this part of it, Palmerston, but we did it on the mailing part,
Yeah.
and it made a huge improvement.
Absolutely. And I'm wondering what kind of incentive we can get for the people to cooperate with us, whether we,
I think the $5,000 fine would be good.
Yeah,
Money talks.
or even a threat of it, some sort of incentive for them to stay unhooked once we get to
I
them.
think the numbers should be like, talk their own talk.
Brian, I don't know whether it does or not. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm certainly not a negative person.
I just have to find a starting point.
And as Rick has said, storm sewer,
Sanitary.
we'll just jump in the sewer, who cares, right? So, maybe we have to be stronger than
Mayor
that.
Bridge.
Just a couple points and a little bit wrap it up, but I think you have to educate. I think that's important because I don't think people do understand it. Whether you jump at a $5,000 fine right away, I think that's a little, but we have to work on that. The one thing I want to bring out too, and is the fact that I appreciate how proactive we were that night. Because we had the extra pumps there. If we wouldn't have had the extra pumps, Wayne, I think I talked to you that morning, and you guys stayed up all night and worked it. We kept ourselves above water, so to speak. So that's great. But I do recall in our budgetary process, one of the things we were doing was we knew we had an I&I problem a bit in Harrison, and we're actually, I believe, budgeting but to do more Harrison work this year on I&I than we are in Palmerston. We kind of fixed that on your part. And I think that's important that we go out there and we keep following and monitoring. I'd like to see a good education plan first, and I you know, if there's an ability to do maybe incentives to understand rather than fines, maybe that'd be the way to go. But I don't know, I'm not ready there to go on that road yet, but I think we do have to educate, and I think that's very important. Because these are great numbers, and we gotta get that out there, so through the press and through maybe some social media and other things, we get that message out to people and say, you're really hurting yourself, and you're hurting the taxpayer, which is you, and at the end of the day, you know, there we are.
What do you mean I gotta spend $1,000 to fix my problem?
Yeah.
But it's, like,
Sorry.
my own house in Clifford, my downspouts were connected into the sanitary, and I had them.
But you understand it.
Cost me $50.
Do you understand it? And I think that's the thing, like, people,
Same.
CAO White.
Just to add very briefly, it's complicated a little because we do have people in floodplains and and their basements will flood because of the water table, and they feel like they need to get that water out of there. So that will be part of the education process. But also, I want to make it clear, and I appreciate council's understanding of it. I think that's why I asked that these guys come forward before you go into the houses, is to make sure you were on side and understood the implications of what they were doing. But it is a friendly approach to start, and then the next approach is, I think, we look at a town-wide program of incentives. That's going to take more time to develop, but we want to try and get some of these off here in concert with doing our own work. So,
Every little bit helps.
yeah, and really the motion here is just to permit them to go out and do the public education part, and it will be a friendly approach to start.
Like the pamphlet talk.
So the amount of work that we have done in Palmerston, it'd be interesting to know exactly, when you're talking dollars and cents like this, it'd be interesting to know where we started 15 years ago. Or you're saying 88, I think it was earlier than that. But, I mean, the amount of water that we have sent the right direction by doing what we have done under the streets and what have you. It'd be interesting to know what we've saved.
Well,
Any
the
other
good thing,
questions?
one thing, the good thing there is that we never, even during that rain event, we did not have a bypass or anything in Palmerston, which, you know, speaks for the situation of the money spent, and that we have created a fix there that's in a positive thing for the town of Minto. Yeah,
Which is a good thing.
that's a good thing, yeah.
So the recommendation is that the council receives the Public Works Director and Water Sewer Foreman's report dated May 6, 2014, and approves the hand delivering of an information package to all homeowners in Palmerston, Harrison, and Clifford. Thank you. Councillor Faulkner, seconded Councillor Hembley. Okay, all in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried.
Councillor Chairman, do we need to move some money around for Harrison now, or?
that's why I said we did 200 in for Harrison this year.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying, though, but with this situation, do we need to increase, as what my question is? Okay.
So Wayne, thanks for coming, and appreciate what you've done, and that night, your guys, make sure that they know that we do appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, oh, here we go.
Quiet. Quiet.
Milk
Look
and
at
bread.
Roads Foreman,
That'd be
Mike
for a hockey
McIsaac.
score.
Second item on the agenda tonight is the update on the horse and buggy route off of Highway 9.
Yes, this is, back in July, we adopted a resolution that council received from myself and the CAO clerk about a temporary alternative horse and buggy route on Highway 9 at Hutchins Street intersection along John Street. This did serve a purpose, very well done. And it was asked that we bring it back to council early in 2014, which we are now doing. It has served its purpose up to this point, and hopefully past the end of the construction period, I'd like it to still be there. But it is our recommendation that after that process is done, that maybe we should have closed up again, because we got cars running in there. And this is used for other means. And it wasn't used at all during the winter because we couldn't clean through it. So.
Questions? Deputy Mayor Fisk.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm against this. Did you talk to the Amish or Mennonite community about
No,
this?
no, I didn't, no.
No, I mean, they're directly affected by this, and, you know, we're practicing transparency here, and I think that's important, that we tell them that that's our plan, because I think they've been very happy with it, and it's served its purpose, but I don't think its purpose has ended. This was brought to our attention prior to the construction, and it had to do with Tim Hortons and the large trucks that park along the roads, and we don't seem to be able to stop that. It's an ongoing problem. So the reason for doing it hasn't gone away. The construction certainly contributed to trying to make it safer for them. And I know myself, trying to get out of Tim Hortons, if you're looking around trucks and you look down the road, you'll see a car or a truck, but you might not see a motorcycle or a horse and buggy, and I don't know why that is. I think we've trained ourselves to watch for certain things, but maybe not for other things.
Yeah.
And I still have a concern that something could happen there someday, and I wouldn't want to be part of that. You don't have to worry about them suing you, but we do have a conscience, and for the little bit of disruption, and there's been 2 incidents, and I suspect I'd be very disappointed if we changed the policy because of a couple of knuckleheads. And I'm guessing it's probably one knucklehead that went through there twice.
No doubt, no doubt.
So
I have no disagreement with that whatsoever.
I
with
just-
this.
doesn't-
Winter months, what about winter months?
Well, I mean, we do what we can.
Yeah.
We maybe can't do it in the wintertime, but we can do it in the summertime with, if we have to put a few more chips down there or whatever, and get them through there. Like I said, I think it served a good purpose for an important part of our community that don't usually ask us for very much.
And I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that
No.
part. I
So-
just didn't like the idea of cars going.
I know, I don't like it either.
Yeah.
But I mean, we don't close streets because somebody drives through a stop sign.
No.
Reckless driving, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
So I'm disappointed in whoever these individuals are. It won't matter what you do, you're going to have those kind of things, unfortunately, and hopefully they scratch their car or get a flat tire or something happens in there, but
Well, it's
I
totally,
just-
totally up to council's.
I understand that, but I
decision.
just, I don't think that we should be closing that little access because somebody drove through there and made a rut.
Okay.
That's my feeling.
Other, Councillor Elliott.
Do a lot of Amish use that, and Mennonites use that,
There's quite,
offer?
yeah, quite a few that use it, that I've seen. I'm not sure Mike's paid much attention to it or not.
Have we got any kind of count on that? Whether they
No
go-
count.
Whether they go straight down or not bother with it?
No.
I mean, I've seen it fairly well used, like a number of times, and I think the rutting in the grassed area was
Fairly heavy.
from the wheels of the wagon, the horses, of course, is
Yeah.
evidence to that. Like they've had a pretty good path through there on the grass part.
So saying that, should we make it a little more user-friendly?
To what?
From the corner in, like, I mean, there's a couple of times in the year that it's pretty muddy for the horses and stuff.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
If we are going to take it out, then we wouldn't do that. But if your direction is to keep it, then I think we should do that.
Mayor Bridge?
Well, I think the idea was, I got 2 points here. I think Deputy Mayor Fisk brings a good point up. We haven't talked to the Amish community about it tonight. Like, although this report says you're going to keep it until the construction's done.
Correct.
When are we anticipating that construction done, Brian? Around Tim Hortons?
July, yeah.
July, okay. So it's gonna be around, I mean, the reason I say that is one of the main concerns I had when this originally went in and when Deputy Mayor Chris brought it to our attention and had talked to the Mennonite community, it was, in the Amish community, I think it was the fact that we had a lot of construction there and it was dangerous. And, you know, and I don't know, I was watching the trucks the other day and I know we haven't got it all done yet. Here, like, an actual transport truck knocked over the no parking sign the day I was there and knocked over the sign. You know, he's got it knocked backwards and like he runs in and gets his coffee. Like, I don't know where the police are. I don't know, but I mean, I could get on a rant on that.
Yeah.
Like a Rick Mercer almost. But the point is, like, I guess, are we going to have some control over that when we get to final curbing, or are we going to be at the mercy of these trucks still? I don't know. Like, what's the scoop? I mean, I remember seeing some.
Any truck can go over a curb.
Well, I know, but I mean, going over a curb is really.
The police are gonna have to monitor it.
Right.
And they're gonna have to probably maybe get a little bit stiffer with the vehicles
So
parking there.
we have time to discuss this with the Mennonites because we're not, and the Amish, because we're not gonna do anything until after construction. That's not gonna be till July or August. So I think we have to
I
talk
thought,
about that.
and to be
Yeah.
truthfully honest here, I thought it was for the construction purpose only.
Well,
So-
it was a 6 month, I think it was a we
Temporary
said we were gonna
6-month
review it,
trial.
I remember that. And
Yeah.
so
Yep.
but I think they still got the truck problem in my mind. until
Yeah.
we fix
And
that.
we do still have that issue to deal with, so.
Yeah, because it is dangerous for the trucks, but if we can control the trucks, then maybe it's a different issue at
That's
that
right.
point. in time. But-
Yeah.
Any other questions? So a couple things, I think, if we're gonna check with the Amish community or Mennonite community, the other thing, how do we send a signal to our OPPs, our police community, that what's happening there is dangerous? I know that, once a year we get our,
Well, why don't I send a letter from the mayor
okay,
to Scott Larson and just say that we're really disappointed with the policing of the bylaw, the parking down there, and see what I get out of that. Is that fair?
Yep.
And I've had a chance to talk to him personally. There's an ex-police officer going to tell us that's not going to work, but
I'm just gonna make a
Yes.
motion that we defer
Okay.
this recommendation until we receive more information, talk to the Amish community, and, talk to the police.
okay.
seconder for that? Okay, Deputy Mayor Fisk, all in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried, so
So I'll get a letter.
So are we, what's next? We're just, we're deferring, this motion with another motion. Are we clear? Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Next one is the, vehicle and equipment replacement program. Who's reporting on that? Oh,
Ronnie,
Mike, thanks for coming. Excuse me, fellas?
Get control. You want here?
Yeah, thank you, fellas. Excuse me? Mike's got the floor.
equipment, fire away, brother.
Hand it down. Hey, Mike.
This report's brought forward for basically information purposes only. We've been working on a vehicle and equipment replacement program here at the town for a number of years now. And in front of you here shows you what pieces of equipment and vehicles we have and where they belong within the Public Works Department. There's also, you'll also notice there's some vehicles which are on here that will not be replaced moving forward. There's a couple of single axle dump trucks, the sweepers that you're aware of, the bucket truck, and then also the New Holland tractor. We're looking at ways to utilize our equipment more efficiently, bring more, use the equipment that we have more efficiently, and to keep costs down, maintenance costs, replacement costs down.
Study by Triton too was done this year along with the road use study, average study. So, they went through our trucks and cars
questions? Deputy Mayor Fisk?
Through you, Chairman Turton, is it possible to lease trucks like this, or is that more expensive than actually owning them?
It is a possibility. And I did mention this to Gord previously, and we have done it in the past. Gord?
Come on up, Gord.
Money man.
Yeah, again, I'm gonna give like the it depends question, because it depends on the interest rate and that too. And the one thing that we're different from a private company, we don't have any income tax implications, whereas sometimes for tax purposes, it's better for leasing and that too. So it's kind of lease or finance. I know, like personally, I used to lease a car probably 10 years ago, and there was a lot of incentives there. We're looking at not so much off the shelf, like you've got a huge plow truck or a grader that you buy a chassis and you put it over there, so there's fewer things there too. But I think, as Mike said, this is kind of for information, because this is where we want to be, and I think we all realize it's not achievable financially at the outset, but it's kind of like we've got a mountain to climb and we've got to start climbing.
I'm just wondering if, while we're trying to catch up, if leasing would make more sense, that's all.
Well, I can envision that, like our grader is, getting on to about 13, 14 years?
14 years old.
Yeah. So what happens in 2 years, it gives up, and we don't have the money to buy a new one, or we can't finance it. If there is some kind of an incentive from the manufacturer, then we may have no choice at some point. But it's always like lease or buy is I'm sure Councillor Caldwell gets into that too. It depends on what they're offering, and hopefully, from a personal point of view, there's always this penalty for how many kilometers you drive. So on a pickup truck, these guys are out patrolling, 7 days a week sometimes. The penalty for the extra mileage can kind of be a factor too.
Councillor Caldwell?
I was just gonna say, I'm not a big fan of leasing for a company that doesn't have the tax write-off. That's normally the reason you would lease, is to get the tax write-off. Seeing we have no income tax implications, it would be more expensive way to go. Normally.
I agree, yes.
Any other questions?
Just, in my own opinion too, in the leasing, it would be a stopgap measure,
Exactly.
just to get you over a hump, but in the end of the day, it would cost more. There's no doubt in my mind without the income tax break. So really what you'd be doing is just pushing the problem off. You'd be better off to go to venture or whatever, I think, in the long run. And
if we were faced with the grader breaks down, it's November, what are you going to do? You might have to.
But again, I mean, when the dollars and cents, you'd get it, but you'd pay more a lot more in the long run.
And we know this is not reality.
No.
Because we can't hit that, but we have to start somewhere.
Yep.
So,
Good move.
Final point, I was just gonna say, with the interest rate so low.
Yeah.
That's another.
It might.
Deputy Mayor Fisk? I'm
Just
sorry
one,
for cutting you
no,
off.
not a problem. One other question, it mentions here about surplus for machine time in the vehicle operating budget has been used for other projects, and now we have a $231 reserve. So was that operating, or did that go into capital, or?
That's basic operating. So, you know how we do the machine time, which is
Yeah.
basically internal transfer
Yes.
pricing? So theoretically, and we've always wanted to do this, but we've never been able to. So you take in the machine time, subtract your fuel and your repairs and all that, and theoretically, you should be able to take that, put it into your equipment reserve for future purposes. And that's what we'd love to do, but we'd have 15% tax increases, so it ends up going there. But as I say to the Public Works, it's not all bad, because no, we haven't taken that money and put it into buying new trucks. But we pretty much have taken that money, put it into road construction. So it still stayed within the department, but it's gone for infrastructure upgrades rather than equipment.
So it won't be coming back into reserves, obviously, then, to buy the trucks.
No, and that's like, well, when our, previous director of public works, we brought that whole machine time in to give us a good indicator of what it really costs, which is good, and our idea was to put it in an equipment reserve, but it just hasn't been practical from a financial point of view.
CAO White.
Chair Turton, the goal here is to try and get to where the fire department is. Comes time to get a piece of equipment, the money's in the reserve. There's no doubt we're a long ways away. We're contributing 85,000 a year, and you just put that up 20,000 in the last budget. And every year, if we put a little bit more, 20, 30, 40,000, never is a long time, so soon we'll get there. So I think this is good information for you to have, because not everyone knows what trucks, where, and how many trucks we have, and who's driving what, and how much do we put in the budget to do that. So this is excellent information for you to have. What we'll do is next budget, we'll come forward and you'll see in one of our line items recommendation that we increase the vehicle reserve contribution. The bad news is our reserve is really $231.
Not a misprint?
No, it's not 231,000, but
I thought there was some
so
zeros.
that's why, the other thing is, the next step is, I don't know if Mike knows it yet, I think he might know, but
We're gonna
in
have 'em off?
June, we're gonna have the surplus equipment sale, so we'll try and help pump up that reserve a little bit, yeah. But, we just haven't been able to find a good time when everyone isn't dealing with ice storms and floods and other acts of God, so.
So, no further questions then, the recommendation is the Council of Town of Minto receives the Public Works Director's report regarding the vehicle and equipment replacement plan and considers this information during further budget deliberations. Can I have a mover and a second? Thank you, Councilor Caldwell. Mayor Bridge, all in favor of that? Against? That's carried. Beautiful, beautiful, blue bar grass, is that what that's called? Oh, beautiful.
Good job on that report.
That's amazing.
So talking about trucks, the last item then is the utility pickup report. Who wants to talk about that?
Go ahead, Mike.
This is another information report as well. It's just bringing forward the situation with our one vehicle. It's a 1997 3/4 ton pickup truck, which needs to be replaced, and it is in the capital budget for this year. And attached is just a picture of what the truck is going to look like when we get the truck, basically. And that's what is there any question?
Yes, Councilor Faulkner.
Can I assume that there's another 3/4 ton truck that we can put the water thing on as opposed to using the brand new one for that?
Yeah, actually, the picture is the truck that it's gonna be used for, yes. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a Ford.
Hey?
It's a Ford.
It's a,
Any other questions on this one? Hearing none, then.
Lovely.
Recommendation that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the report regarding the 1997 Chevy 3/4 ton utility pickup truck, service pickup truck, and approves Public Works staff proceeding to tendering for a new 2500 series 3/4 ton truck vehicle. Can I have a mover and a second? Thank you, Councilor Elliott. Councilor Hembley, thank you very much. All in favor of that, sorry? All in favor of that motion? Carried? That's carried. Against, pardon me, that's carried.
Just one more comment here.
Public Works is looking at doing another council road tour again this spring, just show.
Are you waiting for
councilors-
spring or?
Oh, so I guess it's almost summer.
Well, it's still winter.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't get across 60.
And we were wondering what council would feel about having one on June the 9th.
June the 9th.
Monday.
It's a Monday, yes. Yeah.
What time?
We'll say 8 o'clock.
AM?
Yeah.
I'm saying no.
No, I'm just kidding.
Has our CA opened up that early before? What are you shaking your head? Why is he shaking his head?
He's probably out doing chores or not.
800.
So,
Yeah.
we're just gonna throw that date out there, or are we sticking to that? Do we need a motion for that, or, okay?
We're just.
Let's get out of
ability.
Good. Talking about it.
Parked it in.
Shibby-dibby-doo.
Okay, we'll send out an email.
Good.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your participation tonight. I'll pass the chair back to
Thank you.
our mayor.
Okay, I think we're at other business as disclosed. Okay, Dave, you want to start?
Yep, sure. I just wanted to make everybody aware, I was talking to our chairman of our cancer tournament, June 3rd, and he's still looking for, well, he's looking for a couple or 3 teams. He's looking for as many as he can, and it is June 3rd. It's a shotgun as normal as every other year at Pike Lake with a lovely steak dinner. And
Be there.
everybody knows Hammer's phone number. Thank you.
Somebody else said. Okay, I'll do, I've got 2. I'm gonna get the board to come up. Board, a little presentation for you here.
Watch your step there.
Yeah, I'm in the hole here. I'm gonna read this. This is, Gord, I don't know if you're aware of it, on behalf of the Municipal Finance Officers Association of Ontario, we'd like to recognize the staff, Gord Duff, for his invaluable contribution to being a member of the Big Issue Small Places Committee in December 2011 to 2013. MFOA promotes an interest in municipal finance officers carry out their statutory and other financial responsibilities to provide opportunities for municipal finance officers to participate in helping MFOA develop policies in their governmental initiatives through committee work. During Gord's tenure as the CISP committee representative voice of small municipalities and MFOA activities identifying emerging financial issues, developing policy recommendations for best practices, assisting municipal finance officers in both financial sustainability, create priorities for succession planning, asset management, care service, and non-revenue agencies. For participation played a meaningful part in forming the MFOA policy work in 2011 to 2013, and includes the compiling succession planning strategies for assisting municipalities in developing next generation municipal finance professionals by writing a letter to college, universities, and church instruction. Furthermore, municipal course content, creating orientation package, researching recruitment and succession planning strategies, assisting in the formation of the FMLA first asset management course, and we know we're working very big in that partnership with Minto, good road association. What do I use to build an asset management plan? Educate municipal finance professionals and business expertise in the non-revenue survey and municipal collaboration documents. We'd also like to extend our many thanks and gratitude to you and the rest of the council for nurturing the environment where we staff for the people experience time and knowledge of the MFOA and go beyond all of these perspectives. I just want to add, Gord, it's a pleasure that we have you on the staff, and I know I hear a lot of things here with my pleasure and the council's pleasure to offer you this certificate. The big goal, that's not real goal. On behalf of the town of Minto Council, President Presidential contribution to Municipal Finance Officers Association, and with people like yourself in there helping them, like, asset management and other things, it's really helpful. Good guy. Good job.
That's where that extra 230,000 in reserves went to print these gold paper.
Paper mileage, no.
Community expenses.
Horse racing.
Yeah. And on a sadder note, I have a memo here, or a flyer from the Minto Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if you're aware that Dorothy Netrick had a tragic accident just a little while ago, and the chamber set up a support donations to be made at an account at CFAC in Harrison or Palmerston, and the checks can be dropped off at the launch at Minto Awesome, Interactive and Harry Stones. Please make checks payable to Dorothy Necker in trust. Online donations can be made too. So I'll have that, and maybe just make sure the press gets that, and we'll put it up. And Dorothy was a great supporter of the town, or is a great supporter of the town, and in Palmerston, and she was one of my positive lights in downtown revitalization, other committees, and we wish her a speedy recovery. I'm saying on behalf of the town and the council.
They were saying too, George, that your daughter's, the updates on Facebook.
Yeah.
And,
Good.
She's introduced to Homer right now.
So we hope she'll recover and get back to her great little business she has in Palmerston.
Yes.
Did you want to add anything to that? Okay, that's all I had. I'll get that, maybe get that down in the press. Moved by Councillor Turton, second by Councillor Faulkner, that the Committee of Whole convenes in regular council. All in favor? Carried. Any notices of motion? Hearing none. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councillor Elliott, the Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the Committee of Whole. All in favor? Favor? Okay. Moved by Councillor Hemley, second by Councillor Turton, that the bylaw number 2014-30 being the bylaw to authorize the mayor and the CAO clerk to execute a mutual aid and assistance agreement for Ontario Wastewater Agency Response Network be introduced and read first, second, and third time and passed over to council, sealed, seal corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Faulkner, second by Councillor Caldwell, the bylaw number 2014-27 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and the CEO clerk to enter into an entrance agreement onto an on-open road allowance with Timothy and David Horst, 5773 Highway 89, be introduced and read in first, second, third time, and passed over to council, sealed, seal corporation. All in favor? Right. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk, the bylaw number 2014-31 being the bylaw authorizing the mayor and CEO clerk to enter the municipal funding agreement for the transfer of federal gas tax funds beginning April 1st, 2014, be read first and second and third time and passed over to council, sealed, seal corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Turton, second by Councillor Hemley, the bylaw number 2014-31 being the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the May 20th, 2014 committee council meeting be introduced and read in first, second, and third time and passed over to council, sealed, seal the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Faulkner, second by Councillor Caldwell, the council of Town Minto adjourned to meet at the call of the mayor. All in favor?
Go Habs, go.
Thanks for a good meeting.
Oh, yes. Well, just, hey, Ron, can you bring up the party in the park?